Hi, seniors. This is Mrs. Georgiakis. Today, during Bison Time, we're going to look over different financial aid awards and try to make sense of them together. We know this can be really confusing, that colleges send them out in lots of different ways and explain things very differently. So, we want you to be able to understand the money that you are being given, that you've earned from colleges, and what you may be asked to pay. So, we're going to look at some samples today and do that. Hopefully, you have gotten your financial aid award letters from colleges already. These may have come in the mail, or more likely, they are posted inside your online portal with the school. And this is a different online portal than what you use to apply to the college. And so you may need to look in your email to find those login credentials or the directions on how to log in. With that being said, I want you to also note that if COD is one of the colleges you are considering, or if you know you are going to College of DuPage next year, their financial aid award letters are not ready. They will be releasing those at the beginning of May, is their goal. And that's not anything you did wrong. They are just a little bit behind with the pandemic. For the rest of the colleges or universities that you're considering, if you have not gotten a financial aid award letter yet, it is likely because you have requirements you still need to complete. That may be filing the FAFSA for that school. Even if you did the FAFSA, you have to make sure you sent it to every school. It may mean completing financial aid verification, which we talked about right before spring break. So those are some things to consider if you haven't gotten any award letters yet. So let's get started by looking at our first one. Okay, so let's take a look at this first example of a financial aid award letter. On this first example, we can see that it says the estimated cost of attendance. You can typically divide those up into direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs mean a bill, costs that are going to come to you as a bill from the university, that those prices are fixed, that's what they are. Indirect costs are more of these books, materials, supplies, personal travel, miscellaneous, computer, where those costs might vary depending on what you need for class in terms of books, materials, and supplies. Your personal expenses might vary based on your taste, right? Do you drink Starbucks or Dunkin' or McDonald's coffee? There's various prices between those. Travel, that cost is going to vary based on whether you're living on campus and it's close by, whether you're commuting from home or whether you need to fly to get to school a few times a year and to be able to come home. So those are those indirect costs where they might vary and they're not coming in at a bill at an exact time. So you do need to be prepared for those. The direct costs are going to be tuition and fees and room and board if you are living on campus. So when they give this total cost of attendance of $38,400, that is including both the direct costs and the indirect costs. So all financial aid award letters will show that information, but they might display it in a different way, which is why we're going to look at two different versions today. The next thing that this financial aid award letter shows is the kind of aid that students are getting. The first aid that you're seeing is 3 different loans: Federal Perkins loan, Federal Stafford loan, subsidized, and Federal Stafford loan unsubsidized. That is called self-help aid because you are helping yourself through a loan that you have to pay back with interest. The subsidized loan means the federal government is paying the interest for you while you are in college. The unsubsidized loan means that the interest on that loan will accrue while you're in college. That means that every month a little bit of interest will be added on top of that original balance. You can pay that interest every month while you're in college, but you do not have to. It won't be required of you until 6 months after graduation from college when you start paying back all of your loans on a monthly basis. The second part, and they didn't label this in any way, which is very common, unfortunately, on financial aid award letters, is what we call gift aid. Um, Although work study is not, they should have listed it in the first part. But gift aid are scholarships and grants. It's money you don't have to pay back. So it's a gift. We love gift aid. You love gift aid, right? Who does not want money that they never have to pay back? This money from the school will always just be deducted from your cost. And so, what I'd like for us to do is to look at that financial aid package, but put it into this template that says comparing financial aid awards. Oh, I should have put an S in there. Comparing financial aid awards. And the reason I'd like you to do that is because this is going to be an easier way for you to compare schools than it will be otherwise. So let's take a look, and we'll call this School A. As an example. So I'm going to, on the school one, I'm going to type School A, and we're going to figure out exactly how much money you are receiving, how much money you would have to pay. So the first is the cost of attendance. Let's look back at this letter. The cost of attendance, they're saying the estimated total cost is $38,400. They're giving you both indirect and direct costs. So we can list both of those. Know that your bill from the school will be less. Now we can look at the gift aid. That is the free money. We want to look at the total. They're showing you for both the self-help aid and the gift aid how much would be for each semester, because typically the university will bill you once for the fall and once for the spring. However, you can pay it monthly. Every college has a monthly payment plan, but I want to tell you why they're dividing it into fall and spring. So the gift aid at this school that you are getting is $17,900. We got that by looking at this $15,000 scholarship, $1,000 from the Pell Grant, $1,000 from the FSEOG grant, and $900 from the state scholarship. We're not adding in federal work study because that is money you have to earn in a job. It will always be listed on a financial aid award, and you can certainly work a federal work study job on campus and earn that money. That money you're going to really use for these personal expenses, not from any of the bills that are coming from the university. And so I don't recommend putting that money into these templates from work study because it's not money you have yet, and it's not money you know that you will have for sure. Just like it's money from a job that you might work this summer or that you might continue working next year. You don't have that money yet. It's not 100% a given. So while you are definitely probably going to use that for some of your college expenses, we're not going to put it in as part of the financial aid award. So then we're going to do a little math, and I'm going to pull my calculator up because I don't want to make a mistake. So what we want to do is we want to look at what the school is going to cost after the gift aid. So we're going to take that cost of attendance and then subtract the free money that they are giving you. Now, this is money that you'll never see. It's money that's going to just be subtracted from the amount you owe the school. And so after the gift aid, you are going to owe $20,500 to this college. Remember, this is just an example. I know this is a lot of money. That doesn't mean that's what you specifically are going to owe to the school. Now they want to see loans. So they have offered this student $7,500 in loans. That is not typically the case. Typically, once in a while, we'll see that happen, but usually students are only offered these two, the federal Stafford subsidized and the Stafford unsubsidized. So typically for your freshman year, you are only offered $5,500 in loans from the federal government. So after loans, if a student wanted to take out that full amount, we can see what they would have left to pay. Now, if you know, I don't want to take out that full amount, you could choose to write in here, I only want to take out the $5,500, or I would only take out the subsidized loan where the government is paying my interest. and just write that one down. So that is a little bit up to you and your family when you're having these discussions. But I want you to see it both ways with what you would have left to pay with no loans and what you would have left to pay with loans for every school that you've applied to. So let's put in the full amount the student got, $7,500. And then we would look at the cost after those loans. And the student would at this school have $13,000 left to pay. Now, that is including those indirect costs. If you wanted to add your only the direct costs, we would know that the cost for the direct costs, we could subtract some, right? What's going to be coming in the bill? You have 1,000, 2,000, so you really have 4,500 here. Now, the reason I'd say be careful doing this is I want you to plan on having those expenses, but the amount you would have in the bill to this university would be $8,500 or $4,250 a semester or $850 a month. And that's typically because they do a payment plan over 10 months typically instead of 12 months. So that is what School A would cost, and that's what School A's financial aid award letter looks like. Let's look at another financial aid award. So let's look at another financial aid award. We are now going to look at financial aid award letter B. And this one lists it completely different than financial aid award letter A. And it is again for a completely different university. So on this page, they are first showing you, and this is often what it will look like online. So often schools, they'll send you a letter in the mail, but that is starting to become less and less common practice. Usually it's going to be posted online in your portal. And a lot of times it'll look more like this, where it's just 3 columns. Well, it'll tell you the category, the amount offered, and then the amount accepted. They are always going to show you that you accepted free money. And so that's why it shows you've already accepted the Pell Grant, the state grant. For us, that would be the MAP award, and that's what it would say on your financial aid award letter, and this university scholarship. And so that's what it would say here. And it's again then breaking it up below into the fall semester and the spring semester. But we can just look at the top. Now, what's frustrating for this school is that it's not showing us the cost of the school in any way. So we're going to say, and we're just going to pretend that this school is UIC and that the student is living at home. And so the reason I say that is typically, and it'll depend what program a student's in at UIC, but typically we can estimate that it's around $16,000 a year for direct costs for your tuition and fees at UIC. And so let's take a look at this and look at the gift aid again, which is up here. Grants and scholarships, anytime you see that, you know it's free money that's going to be deducted from your bill. And then the self-help aid, which is going to be those loans, and federal work study is also self-help aid. But sometimes, schools, like we saw in the other one, put it in the wrong spot. So let's use this one to put it together. So we're going to call this one School B, but we're going to treat it like it is UIC. So we're going to say their cost of attendance is $16,000. Now, does a student still, and the student is living at home, right? So that might be why it's costing less. They're not having that room and board to look at. So if it's $16,000, let's look at the total amount of gift aid that they got. We're going to get my handy dandy calculator again because it's been a while since I've taken math. And so let's add this up. We've got 1,070 in the Pell Grant, which is free money from the federal government that is going to go to the school on your behalf that you are never, ever, ever paying back. I just sounded like I was going to sing T-Swift, but you are never, ever, ever paying that money back. And then I'm going to add this all up. And so in gift aid from this school, this student is getting $6,010. Nice. So the cost after gift aid would be $9,990. That's a lot of nines in a row. Now, the student was also offered loans, and it's that $5,500 total that we're looking at. So $3,500 in subsidized, where the government's paying the interest for you while you're in school, and $2,000 unsubsidized, where the interest will keep a little bit every month will be added onto your total while you're in school if you choose to not pay it while you're in school. And you're totally able to not pay that interest in school. You do not have to. So that would total $5,500. So then the cost after the loans for school B would be $4,490, I believe. But let's give that a double check just because, I want to make sure these figures are right. So no matter how good you are at math, which is better than me for all of you, I want you to definitely just use a calculator to make sure you're right. Okay. Even to double check. And so $4,490 is what that student would owe. So that would be $2,245 a semester or $449 a month. And that's much less scary. I know that still seems undoable, but let's say that student then, got a private scholarship from Fenton because they submitted that application, they got $1,000. Then they're going to owe less. Or let's say they then, got an additional scholarship from the school that they found out later. Then they can subtract that. So that would be their cost after loans. Now, one thing I do like to do sometimes with students is if you're deciding about whether to live at home or not, is to do that school 2 times. So school A, let's say live on campus. And then school A, live home. So if you're unsure for a college that's nearby and you're not sure if you want to live on campus or live at home, this can be a really good way to look at that. And so they're saying the cost of attendance for living at home, the direct costs for this school would be $24,500 because that's your tuition and fees. Now their gift aid, you want to check, are any of those scholarships related to housing or are any of those grants related to housing? They aren't. So you still have that $17,900. And so that cost after gift aid is going to be much different now. And so if we pull that calculator up again, we can see we're going to live at home at this school. But then you would have $6,600 left to pay before loans. Now, let's say you didn't want to take out the full $7,500 because you don't have that much in a bill for this school. And you decide, I just want to take out that standard Stafford amount of the $5,500. Then after you did that, you would have $1,100 left to pay at that school, which would really equal $110 a month. And so that's something to look at when talking to your parents and with your family about making this decision, is all these costs. Sometimes you'll find that if it's a school that's really close to home, like Elmhurst, we can pretend that school A might be Elmhurst and that we were looking at whether we wanted to live on campus at home. You can decide whether the difference in cost, right? Because we said without those indirect costs would be $8,500 or $1,100, what you would want with that. And sometimes that decision might mean I'm living on campus my first year in college to get used to that college environment. But my second, third, and fourth year, I'm going to live at home because look at that cost difference. We've also seen it happen the opposite way, where schools do give financial aid for you to live on campus. And so we've had several times where it is actually more affordable for a student to live on campus than to live at home because some of the scholarships they've been given are tied to them agreeing to living on campus. Um, so, what I charge you all with today is to log in, get your financial aid award letters out, and to use this template that's in the Google Classroom and use your financial aid award letters and fill it out. And if you need to add more columns like direct costs or do the school more than once, like live on campus, live at home, you certainly should. That can be a really great way to do that. But this will make a copy of this template just for you. So you can do whatever you want in terms of adding columns. If there's other columns you want to look at direct costs versus indirect cost, or for every single school you apply to. And if you haven't gotten a financial aid award letter yet, like say CODs hasn't come, then you can start filling in just what their cost of attendance is by finding that information on their website. And here's a little bit of a trick. If you saw on other colleges that you're getting the Pell Grant or the MAP grant, you would get that typically at every school that you apply to. Now, the MAP grant, you would only get at Illinois schools. So if you see it on one school and not another, it's probably because the other school is out of state. But that can be a way of starting to estimate what COD would cost if you are getting the Pell and MAP grant at other schools. Typically, then you will have no cost for COD. But I don't want to promise that because I do want you to have a chance to look at that. So again, I'm going to, my Calendly link is in this Google Classroom assignment. So if you have done this and you're like, oh, I still need help making sense of this, or if you've done it and you're like, I just want to talk about it with someone, or if you tried to do it and you're like, whoa, nope, this is really confusing. Mr. Jacobs talked way too fast. I need help. Please click on that link and make an appointment with me. You are never a bother. I'm always happy to see you. And if you're coming in hybrid, I can always meet with you to work on this in person as well. I hope you all have a great day. Thanks.